Hello, hello. Happy Thursday. Oh my God, my lipstick I'm seeing. It is bright. Happy Thursday. Welcome, my amazing, conscious, married community. I love being with you guys. I've been running around all day and I feel like this is like my time. I'm getting a little comfortable. This is my time to really connect with all of you, to talk. I've been talking to a lot of you on the phone and connecting with you in the DMs. And also our amazing community manager has been also connecting with you on the DMs. Her name is Bianca. And one of the things that we've been hearing a lot of women talk about is that they don't feel respected in their relationship. So I wanted to come on today and talk about this and really address, this conversation of respect, because, you know, respect is one of those things that it's all about the perspective. And I'll talk more about that. So if you're joining me live, make sure that you say hello. I want to know who's watching. If this is your first time joining me live, welcome. I go live inside this group every Thursday at 4 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, and I deliver a new training or teaching that is intended to help you and support you in your marriage to have joy and fulfillment and really transformation. That's what I'm about in your relationship. So all of these workshops that I do, all of these trainings every Thursday are packed with tons of value, and my commitment is that you walk away with a new perspective about your relationship and that you have some actions that you can take and implement right away. So welcome. I'm Yana. I am a mom, a wife, and I am a marriage coach. I help women find joy and fulfillment in their marriages all over the world, and I am so honored, to work with women in such an intimate capacity and really help them transform what I believe the most precious um, area of their lives, which is family. My family for me is the most precious area of my life. And the fact that you're watching this, it really tells me that for you, your family is really important as well, and that you're committed to your relationship, right? And I believe that our family starts with our partnership with our marriage. We chose to be with our partners first. And a lot of times when we have kids, when we get married, we forget that. We forget that, when there was a spark between our partners and us in the beginning, that spark was what inspired us to really start our families. So I'm really committed to bring back that spark and to bring you to who you were in that moment of inspiration. So, and talking about respect is going to also reflect on like where you lost that spark also with yourself. Okay. So like I said, if you're joining me live, make sure that you say hello. I want to see in the comments who's here with me, where are you logging in from, and if you're watching the replay, hashtag replay, and let me know also where you're logging in from, what you're here to learn. And another thing that I wanted to talk about really quickly before we get into today's topic of respect is that we are going to be hosting our workshop that we do every few months. That's called Fight Less, Love More workshop. Rick, my husband, and I will be hosting it right inside this group. It's going to be 5 days. It's completely free. Your husband's partners are welcome to join in. It's a life-changing opportunity. The women that have gone through the workshop, they've shared with me that they had a massive shift in perspective on the relationship, that their communication has improved, that they felt more love and appreciation for their partners. And I am committed that, through this free workshop, we are committed, Rick and I are committed, that through this free workshop, you get a ton of value as if you paid thousands of dollars for it. So you're going to get a workbook that you're going to have as your companion throughout the workshop. You're going to get a personalized concierge who's going to help you work through all the steps. I'm going to be there supporting you. You also get access to me throughout the workshop. So if you have questions, you can ask those questions. So it's a really personalized experience. And, it's not just some like free online thing that you sign up for. It's going to actually help you move through all of the stuff that you're going through and open up your eyes to a new view, a new possibility, and hopefully, bring some transformation into your life and into your marriage. So please join me. The link to register is bit.ly/fight less love more 2021. Okay, and I'll post it in the comments, so you can just go ahead and register. And if you invite 5 friends to the workshop, you will also receive a gift from us, which is a communication course, an online video communication course. It's a $97 course that we sell on our website. So you will get that as a gift. So invite your friends, girlfriends, moms. You never know whose life you're going to change, who is going to be impacted. So yeah, and I'm excited to see you there. Okay. Without further ado, let's begin on our conversation today. So first, I want you to really take this time, and when I share things, I want you to really do the work. And I say this in every training of when I ask questions, not just to have those questions kind of go over your head and not really think about it, but I really want you to take this time and ask yourself those questions and really reflect. Like, really look inside and ask yourself these questions. I like to ask a lot of questions. So I feel like that is how we learn, by really digging in and discovering these questions for ourselves. Right? I don't want to just lecture you. I want you to do that work. So I'm inviting you to do the work with me when I talk about, today's topic. And before we really talk about respect, I want to talk about the word love, right? Because today's topic is about love and respect. And, I know most of you probably love your husbands, right? Otherwise you wouldn't be with him. But the kind of love that I want to talk about is the kind of love that is unshakable. It's the kind of love that's really, really deep. It's not like this fairy tale love that a lot of us imagine. It's the kind of love that creates a strong foundation in your life, okay, and in your relationship. So let's distinguish the word love, because I think that, we hear this word so much, but we never really identify like what that actually means. And there's different types of love. There's an unhealthy kind of love, and there's also a healthy kind of love. So the unhealthy kind of love is the kind of love where you depend on your partner for self-esteem, where you might feel a lack of self-esteem and self-confidence, and you wait for him to tell you certain things, or you expect him to do certain things so you can feel loved. Okay. Also, another kind of sign of an unhealthy love is that you take more from the relationship that you give, or the other person, or he's taking more from the relationship than he is giving. So I mean, I truly believe that there's no like 50-50 in a relationship, but it's 100 and 100. So if one of you is putting in 100%, but the other person is not, or vice versa, it really is not a healthy kind of love and partnership. And it's really important for you, as I'm sharing with you, these distinctions, to start looking at your relationship and identifying this stuff, because it'll make a difference, as we continue. Um, Also, if your relationship is draining you emotionally, psychologically, physically, if your energy is just feeling down when you're with your partner after spending time with them, that is also a big, red flag that this might not be the healthiest situation that you are in. If you guys are constantly getting jealous of each other, also not the healthiest. I mean, it's normal to get jealous, okay? But if it's like jealousy that is really escalated, then that's a big sign. If you're afraid that your partner is going to lose interest in you, or he is going to, I don't know, like stop loving you because you gained weight or whatever, that's also unhealthy. And I'm not saying that um if these kind of signs are in your relationship, that you guys have to break up and it's not going to work out. That's not what I'm saying. Okay, I'm just having you identify like where you're at. If you have this experience that you can't live without him, that's another sign. Or you don't feel safe with him. I hear this a lot from women, that they don't feel safe with him. That's also something that you need to address and you need to look at. And then, the respect. If you guys are consistently putting each other down, if you're disrespecting each other, that is also, a sign for you to really get help and for you to really look at like what is happening in the relationship. And I know that a lot of these things might seem obvious, but, a lot of times when we are in it, when we're in the relationship, going through these motions, we don't see it. Other people might see it, but we might not actually see it and identify it until it gets so intolerable. Okay, so then I want to distinguish a conscious love, or I call it a conscious marriage. Okay, this is like the true love that I wish and want for all of you. And that is what I coach, every woman that I work with on, how to really get out of all of the other things that I talked about and how to move into that conscious love. So there are certain things that, you can start to look at and see if that is what you have in your partnership. So if you both regard, you know, each other, and individually, if you are doing the work individually and you're growing and, honor each other as individuals, that is that conscious, real, true, love. If you both accept that neither one of you is perfect, that's another, way that you really are in a or a way to know that you're in a conscious relationship. If you feel energized after you spent time with each other and you feel good when you're with him, that's another sign that you are in that kind of a love and that kind of relationship. If you respect one another, it goes both ways. That's another way where you really, can identify that you're in a conscious relationship. If you support each other's growth and well being, that's also very, very important. If there's trust and honesty that you guys have in your relationship, that is also very important. And if you are, honoring yourself and respect your own needs in the relationship, that is also extremely important for you to to really identify. Okay, so we have the unconscious love, and I can keep going and identifying different things, but these are like the big things that are really important for you to identify and to just to see where you're at, to really kind of pinpoint like, well, what's really happening here. So now I want you to share with me in the comments, which relationship are you in? Are you in the conscious, relationship where you have that true love? And like I said before, it's not true love that's like this fairy, airy kind of thing that we see in movies, but like really like that conscious, deep connection and love? Or are you experiencing these unhealthy patterns? And this is another point that I want to make is a lot of times we go through cycles, um, sometimes we are, in the unhealthy patterns, and other times we are experiencing this bliss in our relationship. So I want you to share with me in the comments, where are you? And I don't see, so StreamYard will not show me whose name it is unless you actually accept you to share the comments. So whoever is posting, I only see Facebook users. So if you can either allow StreamYard to show your comment, or just let me know where you're logging in from and who you are, I would love it so I can actually get related to you. Okay, so let's talk about, this typical path of relationship that so many of us experience. So we meet our partner, we fall in love, we feel alive, we feel special, we feel wanted, we kind of romanticize like of what it is and what it's going to be like. And, it can last for the time that we're dating, or it can last for a bit when we're married. It depends. Every relationship is very different. And then, everything is great until your partner fails to meet your needs and expectations. And then what happens is we get triggered, we get disappointed, and we develop this neediness or clinginess a lot of times, right? And what's crazy is we almost get addicted to this feeling. You're on a high when he's available or she's available. And then if he's not, you might actually start to feel fear or abandonment or rejection. And a lot of this is not even happening consciously. This is like triggering some old childhood wounds sometimes. Like it's not even something that, we are aware of. And even if you're a strong woman, and even if you are somebody who, who really loves herself, consider that if there's disrespect in your relationship, that somewhere deep down, you are, experiencing fear. You're experiencing, fear of abandonment, rejection, not being loved, that, not being good enough, that, there's some kind of an experience of not being loved and not being safe. Can you relate to this? I actually want to hear from you. And this is something really important to identify, because for you, it's very important to be responsible about this. Okay, so where are you experiencing this? Like for yourself in your life, where are you not loving yourself? Where are you not speaking up? Where are you afraid of rejection? Like really, I want you to be honest about this with yourself. Okay? If that little voice is coming in and telling you, like trying to defend, let it go and really just be honest with yourself. Okay? Because what happens is when we're in a relationship, that beautiful filter that we experience when we just get into the relationship, it kind of wears off. And our relationships become these triggers for the pain that we felt, you know, before we got into the relationship, maybe when we were little kids and our father left, or, maybe you saw your dad be disrespectful with your mom and it really hurt. Or, your, I don't know, uncle was abusive with his wife and you made a decision that that was not okay, but that's how men treat women. So when all of that kind of beautiful perspective of what's possible wears off, and your husband, will say something or he's disrespectful in a way, we will start to get triggered. And all of those learned patterns and all of these learned behaviors that we somewhere along the line picked up that didn't make us feel good enough and loved, they will start to expose themselves. Can you see what I'm talking about? And this is where, the drama will start to begin. And this is where you might start to feel resentment, because somewhere deep down, you tell yourself that this is, how it is because you learned it, because you saw it, and unconsciously you're doing this. But, you resent it, and or you can become controlling even, or you can withdraw or criticize or judge in order to protect yourself, or you blame or attack or whatever, right? And this drama cycle starts to happen where both of you start to get triggered, and you, and I do this too, okay? All of us, I think, when we are being disrespected, we get into this victim mode of like, he's being disrespectful to me, he's hurting me, and we don't speak up, or, we just shut down. We tell ourselves this story that he's doing this to me, and it seems like we're being attacked. And for a woman, feeling safe is the most important thing. Okay? For us, we have inherited this story that we are not safe. And it's a really old story. It's a really old wound that women have been carrying. And it's this wound that I'm actually really committed to us healing, or helping women heal this. Because, in truth, even if your husband is saying the words that he's saying, or he's raising his voice or whatever, unless he's actually, like torturing you, or unless he is doing something that literally makes you unsafe, in that case, you need to get out of the relationship. You have the power to actually speak your truth, to honor and respect yourself, and to really say what's there for you. So the source, a lot of times, where we feel that disrespect, is because we're not actually respecting and honoring ourselves. And I know this is like, ugh, it sucks to hear that. But there's something really powerful in being responsible for that. I'm the first one to say that I never learned to respect and honor myself. My mom didn't, my grandma didn't. As women, what I saw was that respect looked like being controlling and mean and judgmental and demanding and all of those things. And what I am saying is that you don't have to be like that anymore. I don't have to be like this. Respecting yourself is a place that you come from. Honoring yourself and loving yourself is a place that you come from. And when you do that and you start to practice that, it gets reflected in your relationship. You start to request, your partner to treat you in a different way. You start to set healthy boundaries with your partner. You start to have courage to speak up and tell him what works for you and what doesn't work for you. And, and if he doesn't respect those boundaries, then that's a conversation. Then that's, something that you need to address. But so much of the time when, our partners are being disrespectful, we take it so personally and we become such victims of him being disrespectful. And all he's doing is, and I'm not saying it's okay, but like we a lot of times interpret him maybe getting pissed off and raising his voice as being disrespectful to us because we're trying to protect ourselves. My husband does this all the time. Like he has a bad temper. So, he has gotten so much better. So like, I don't want to step over the work that he's done around that area, but he used to a lot of times get pissed and raise his voice. And I would take it personal. And I would like become such a victim. And even now when he, does that, like, I'm like, oh my God, I'm not safe, something is going to happen. And what's so is he's not doing anything to me. He's just raising his voice. So the more I have practiced to love myself, to honor myself, I have been able to actually talk to him in a calm time and let him know that when he gets pissed off and he's raising his voice, he cannot talk to me. Like he needs to go calm down. He needs to go take a calming break. And I've been able to set those boundaries and communicate those boundaries to him. And it's really, been amazing because he can respect the boundary and then we can, work through it. But when we're coming from a place of like, you're doing this to me, you're not going to get anywhere. He's just going to get defensive. He's going to get more pissed off. He's going to treat you more like a victim, and it's not going to get anywhere. Okay, I hope this is all making sense. I'm going to check the comments. So I can't see the comments, you guys, but let me know in the comments and I'll check them back when I go back to check all the comments. If this is all making sense, if you're hearing what I'm saying about respect and if this is really landing. So what I'm inviting you to do is to really, instead of, looking out there and focusing on how much he's being disrespectful, you can actually, when he's being in a way that hurt you, you can actually just say, ouch, or, okay, that hurt. And that will be your sign to leave or to go do something and focus on yourself. Okay. And not because, you're weak or because of you're a victim, but because you know that when he's being a certain way or he says something and you get into that drama cycle and you kind of give in to it, it's not going to actually move anything forward. It's going to escalate most of the time, and it's going to have you guys get into these, cycles of arguing or resentment and so on. So my invitation to you, and this might feel counterintuitive because this is not what we learned, right? We learned like protect yourself and, control and all this stuff and like just be strong, okay? But being strong does not mean that you have to get pissed back. You have to yell. You have to like be, in these ways that we have been taught to be. So I want you to really take a moment and to go and take care of your needs. And literally, like, whether it's to go and take a walk outside, or to go and journal, or to go and cry in the bathroom. I've done that before. Or whatever it is in that moment, to really allow yourself to just be with yourself and to do some form of like self care. And when you do that and you come back to, who you really are, and you kind of move through the triggers, and both of you calm down, you can write something out, like, of how you're feeling and whatever, instead of you like yelling it out, or instead of, you can let him know when you guys are both in a calm time, and you can tell him how it made you feel. And I always say, use I statements. You can tell him, I felt like this when you said this. um, and then you can make those requests and set those boundaries, that that you will request that he honors. So it can be boundaries of how he talks to you, or boundaries of like him coming at you, or whatever it is. Make sure that you follow the communication processes that I teach to set those boundaries as well. Because setting boundaries at time of like when he's pissed off, or at times when you guys are both in an argument, does not work. Okay, it's never going to work, because there's too much, of these like defense mechanisms, and the communication is not going to go anywhere. So make sure that you set those boundaries in a calm time, or you can also write it out before you actually have the conversation. So these are just some ways that you demand respect in a loving and kind way, not in a way where you're demanding and controlling, but in a way where it's just what you're committed to for yourself, for your life, you know, for your kids, the kind of relationship you want to show your kids, and because you respect and honor yourself, right? I want you to really think about, like, if you respected and honored yourself, would you hang out with somebody who was being disrespectful with you? No, you wouldn't. So the quicker you can get to that place of honoring and loving and respecting yourself, the more you're going to actually see clearly on what you need from him. So, I want you to ask yourself, like, how do you have to show up in order to have respect? And how have you been showing up where it keeps triggering the disrespect? Like, how are you responsible? I'm not saying you're responsible for his actions. What I'm saying is, how are you, continuing to allow this kind of behavior to happen in your relationship? Okay. Really, really important to identify this. And then, what are some things and some boundaries that you need to set for yourself to love and honor yourself, and to really create that respect, to actually be responsible for the way other people are treating you? Because other people will only treat you in the ways that you allow them to. So you need to get clarity on how you can allow those people to treat you. So if you are struggling with this, and if you are not sure on how to really, get clarity in this area, let's get on a call. I'm super, happy to support you. I do a complimentary 15-minute support call for all of the members in this group. So let me know if you want to schedule that call. Feel free to DM me, and I'm happy to talk to you about this. I know that this is, a much deeper topic, respect. So let's chat, and I would love to support you. And also make sure that you register for the Fight Less, Love More workshop. We can't wait to be with you. We're going to be having so much fun. I love teaching with Rick, and you guys are going to love him if you haven't met him. He's incredible. So I can't wait to see you, and let me know how you liked this session and if you have any questions at all. I'll see you next week.